Okay, so
Christina's not here. She was. Huh? Oh yeah, I know. I kept hearing her like confirm that it was on. Yeah.
stat menu. Tests is our friend in this class. In this class, by and large, we're going to be in that tests menu. Every once in a while, we'll go back to the calc menu and do one-bar stats. But what you're going to start noticing is the stuff in the tests menu gives you the one-bar stats you need for the most part, so you don't have to go into that to get it. It gives you as a bonus. Much like in the same way when you buy a car, it comes with a radio, you buy a radio too. So tests, now there's a bunch of stuff in here. Most of which we're never going to use, half of which we're going to use. We need to find the one that's called one prop z int. One prop z int. Now let's see if we understand why all those letters make sense. It's down a ways. Not this. Don't ever use this. Oh God.
Oh, it's A.
Yeah, don't use anything that doesn't have the word prop. Okay, here's something to remember right now as far as using the TI. If it has a Z in it, it has to also have the 4 letters prop in it. And I'll show you real quick why you need to have that right now. Okay? I just picked the Z interval, something you will never do. And here's why you'll never do it. Look at the first thing it asks you for after it asks you for an input. What's that right there? Somebody say that nice and loud. That's your population standard deviation, Lauren. They want you to report your population standard deviation. FYI. They want you to go out and count every element of your population and then average whatever you're counting, assuming that you're not 910 years old now in Yoda, and then find a standard deviation of that average. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, especially because that interval is an interval around an average. And the only way to have sigma is to have the average that you're then look, it's like a chicken egg thing. You can't have sigma without mu, but you're looking for mu without sigma. It's stupid.
So why would it have the program?
Because it's archaic. We'll come back to that Wednesday, I promised on. Yeah, and I can't get in there and take it out. I would love, I didn't code this. This is the TI's coding, and it's archaic, and you'll see why momentarily. Back when this stuff was done manually, it was easier to use Z's than what are called T's, which we're going to get into on Wednesday. And that doesn't make it right, but it does make it that I can't fix it, unfortunately. So you have to ignore it, and you're only going to use in this menu a prop with a Z. So one prop Z int is down here a little bit lower. I started a while ago writing a program that only had the choices you need in it, and then I ran out of time, unfortunately. So one prop Z int. Single proportion, that's what we're estimating. Using the Z distribution, which we might or might not have time to get to today. We'll see how time goes today. Int for interval. Int for interval. Let's do it! Look at this. It's beautiful. It asks you for 3 things. It asks you for how many successes you had on your trial, number 1. We had
142.
Thank you. We had 142. It asks you for how many trials you ran, 310. And it doesn't ask you for anything else except how confident you want to be. C level is its word for confidence. As a decimal or a whole number of your choice. Decimal or whole number of your choice. Okay? That's it. That's all it needs to calculate. Because everything that we did over here by hand is calculated using those 2 values. The n, the x, and the critical value. You ready? Hit calculate. Boom. Look at that. Please.
My default for my C level has a 0.95.
Totally fine. 0.95 or 95, exactly the same thing. Yeah, it does not matter. Notice, it's not just like ours, is it?
No.
It's a little water.
Greater.
A little more precise.
Why?
Because there's more than you do.
It used the 1.96, not the 2. Remember how we used 2 for our interval? We used 2. It used 1.96. Actually, I think it used even more decimals than that, but it used whatever it had allowable for that. Everything else is the same, but it does use a more precise version of the critical value. So you get a slightly different result. But nonetheless, we still can't argue that spinning a coin is any different than flipping a coin. So the next time you have to decide something with your friends, you might just choose to spin the coin and pick the tails. Because you've seen the data over 8 years. Because you've seen the data over 8 years. Unless you're flipping to see who takes the trash out. Pick heads. Because you've seen the data over 8 years, yeah? And you've seen that heads over 8 years is 44% plus or minus about 0.5%. So we're spinning to go for the beer run. Tails. Or heads, depending on if you want to go or not. Does that make sense? You see? That's the beauty of statistics. Ask me questions about this. Go, JC!
Are these the wings that you refer to?
The margin of error is the wings. Yes, ma'am. These, notice that p hat is given down here, 0.458. Also, a difference in our interval is that we were rounding 0.458 down. It's actually 0.458, blah, 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 blah. There's more decimals than we use, so there's a precision issue. That's the center. The wings are from center out to the endpoints. So,
It's in the parentheses.
exactly. So put p hat is directly in between those two numbers, numerically. The wing on the left, the wing on the right are the margins of error. I just call them wings, because it's a clever, non-mathematical way of envisioning what you have to have. You can't just have the bird doesn't fly without wings. The head just kind of falls. Fair enough? Good questions, good questions. Makes sense. Ask me more if you have them right now. Ish. We're getting there. Okay, let's do something together. I brought an in-class quiz for us to essentially work on a few things. Number one, using the technology, but also making sure that we understand exactly what the conclusions that we can make based on these intervals is. Getting the interval is one thing, and then making sure you know the limitations of what it says is something different. And Sarah, you've already helped us by making us draw it, so we're going to draw it a number of times. All right, Brandon, if you don't mind. Thanks, sir. Let me kill the camera real quick.